What's up guys, it's Ian here back today with another video, and today I'm here to bring you a back workout. I'm going to start off by warming up with one set of German hangs. This exercise is also known as skin the cats or back lever hangs. This is a preparatory exercise to help warm up the shoulders. Make sure you ease into it and lower yourself slowly. My blood pressure has traditionally been pretty low, so this exercise kind of feels like I'm turning my body into a centrifuge, and you can kind of get lightheaded or feel like you have a lot of movement of blood throughout the body redistributing as you turn upside down in this exercise. Be careful and use a firm grip. I'm performing the German hangs today on gymnastics rings because I'm not flexible enough to perform this exercise on a straight bar. I'm sure you've seen people perform it on straight bars. I'm just not flexible enough to flip over without hitting my feet on the bar. Next up, I'm going to perform all of my different pull-up variations for the day. Today, I'm going to perform chin-ups on gymnastics rings as my first back exercise. I'm lifting my legs and bending at the hip because my rings are close to the ground, and if I tried to do this exercise with a straight body, my feet would hit the ground. You don't necessarily have to pick your legs up. I find that leaning back and sitting in this V-sit position is actually easier than lowering the legs into an lsit. I think when your legs are higher, like how they are while I'm performing this exercise, you don't really have a whole lot of tension on your abs as you might think, but if your legs were lower, like in an lsit position, it would actually be more strenuous than in a V-sit. When I'm performing the chin-up, I actually like to have the hands track slightly inwards at the top. It feels a little bit more natural for me, and I'm attempting to lean the head back, so either have that head in a neutral alignment or slightly leaned back. You want to avoid poking it forward as much as possible while performing these chin-ups. I like to alternate between pull-ups and chin-ups so that way I can distribute the stress more evenly across different structures. I find that this results in a more productive training effect, and it may also reduce overuse injuries. Next up, I'm going to perform the typewriter pull-ups. I was originally planning on performing this exercise on gymnastics rings today, but because my doorway is a bit too narrow, I was physically unable to. If you have access to a wider pull-up bar or your doorways are just much wider, you can definitely perform this exercise on gymnastics rings, and that is a useful variation to add into your training routine. There's two different main ways that you can perform the typewriter chin-up if you have a narrow doorway. You can see in the first set, I'm trying to stay really close to the bar, so I'm not letting my body come away from the bar, and my outstretched arm still has a slight bend in the elbow because here I'm trying to keep my chin above the level of the bar and trying to just stay a lot closer to the bar in general. The second method of performing this exercise is going to involve fully straightening the outstretched arm, but because my doorway is so narrow, I actually have to get a few inches away from the bar, so that's why you see me dropping down below the level of the bar. Of course, you would ideally want to avoid this, but it's the only way to fully extend the outstretched supporting arm while performing the typewriter pull-ups in a narrow doorway. Next up is going to be the archer pull-up. This exercise shares a lot of similarities with the typewriter pull-up. What I like to do is perform all the repetitions on one hand. Because my doorway is pretty narrow, I'm essentially taking the supporting arm and I'm bending the wrist and kind of over gripping the bar with the supporting arm. This way, I'm going to be able to keep the working arm in a neutral wrist alignment and maintain as optimal of technique as possible. By bending the wrist on the supporting arm on the archer pull-up, I'm really also able to get closer to the bar. If I didn't bend the wrist on the supporting arm, I wouldn't be able to get close enough to the bar to finish the pull-up. Again, if you're training outdoors, not in a doorway, or you just have access to a wider pull-up bar, this shouldn't be an issue for you. And I think that if you have no restrictions, the archer pull-up can be a very useful exercise. And even if you are also stuck doing pull-ups in a narrow doorway, you can make the necessary modifications to still perform this exercise. Just finished up my 6 sets of pull-ups for the day, 3 different varieties of them. Next, I'm going to perform the straddle front lever holds. I'm going to perform 3 sets of this exercise. Make sure you take your time to really set up the hip and leg position while you're at the top, and then lower down with control so that way you don't lose the position. I find that if you rush the top position and you drop down with a not fully set hip position, once your hips hike, it's very hard to unhike your hips when you're at the level where you would be holding the straddle lever. So make sure you really dial in that hip position while you're in the upside down hang, and that's going to give you a much better chance of staying in the position you want once you drop down into your final position for the exercise. So I've accumulated roughly 10 seconds of hold time for the straddle front lever today. It's pretty taxing, and I don't think I would be able to perform many more sets with acceptable technique, so I'm going to transition over to the advanced tuck front lever. I'm going to hold 4 sets of anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds here to accumulate roughly 50 seconds. This is going to allow me to end up with roughly 1 minute of cumulative hold time across all the different front lever variations that I performed in today's workout. There's definitely pros and cons to rotating between the variations. Of course, the more strenuous variations are going to have a lower maximum volume that you can tolerate without experiencing overuse injuries or discomfort or just outright issues, but they are also going to acclimate you to the final position that you're looking for more quickly. The easier variations are going to allow you to accumulate a lot more training volume with significantly lower risk of overuse injuries or other issues, but at the same time, they're not going to do quite as good of a job of acclimating you to the final position that you're looking for if you really do want to advance your progressions. Weigh out all of those pros and cons when designing your own program, and that way you'll be able to create a program that allows you to progress as quickly as possible while decreasing the chance of overuse injuries and acute injuries as much as possible. The last exercise for today is going to be the one hand lsit hold. I'm going to perform 2 sets of this exercise on each hand. Make sure you dry your hands in between your sets if your hands are sweaty at all. That's going to give you a stronger grip on the bar, and it'll make you less likely to slip or lose your hand position. I've started adding in the typewriter pull-ups and the archer pull-ups and the one-handed hangs from the bar because I'm gradually trying to work towards the one-armed chin-up. Let's see how that works out. I'm probably also going to work the weighted pull-up and chin-up back into my training routine as well. I took them out for a few weeks because I was trying to make a lot of videos and just show people accessible exercises that you can use to increase your workout intensity without adding weights or other objects. Hopefully this video had some useful information for you, and as always, drop a comment down below regarding what you'd like to see in the next video. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and have a good day.